Hello, and welcome to the Buena Vista Project, a podcast about Mexican American history, politics, cultura, y más, coming to you from San Antonio, the Mexican American capital of the United States. I'm your co-host, Elaine Ayala.
And I'm your co-host, Michael Quintanilla. Our guest today is Lisa Rodriguez, State Director of the Texas AARP, advocating for 2.5 million members in Texas.
Including me.
And me.
Lisa has worked for AARP for 16 years, all of it in San Antonio, even as she is running the state organization. And she's here to talk to us about the state of Social Security, a foundational federal program that provides a safety net for retirees, the disabled, and surviving spouses or children.
If we have our statistics right, Lisa, about 4.7 million Texans receive Social Security benefits. Most are retirees, others are disabled or survivors of deceased workers.
About 10% of recipients at the time now nationally are Latino, and that's because Latinos, Mexican Americans included, are a younger group demographically. By 2070, they're expected to make up 23% of Social Security recipients. The big fear, however, is the health of the trust fund that pays out those benefits. We'd love for you to and Michael, you wanted to add something about National Public Radio.
Yeah, well, here's the National Public Radio story that got me, Lisa. It said Social Security benefits for more than 60 million retirees and family members is expected to run out of money in 2032.
Yeah.
We're going to be broke.
Well, that's just 6 years away now.
That scares a lot of us, right, Elaine? Mm-hmm. Especially those of us who depend solely on Social Security, nothing else but Social Security.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you both, first and foremost, for having me on this podcast.
Thank you.
Of course.
I think it's a great opportunity just to get the facts on the record, right? And something that the trustees report did do is to show the strength of the program. It's going to turn 91 Social Security, and it's never missed a payment. And we don't want it to miss a payment. So that it's going to run out of money is not actually accurate. It won't be able to pay 100% of benefits if we do absolutely nothing. Now, that is not the preference, and we're hoping that people who are on Social Security now are receiving their benefit, their Social Security that they earned, and folks that are now paying into Social Security won't let Congress just not do anything. Mm-hmm. So with that, people, if we do absolutely nothing, people will only receive about 80% of their promised benefit. But that is drastic. As you said, Michael, mm-hmm. there are a lot of folks who depend on it. That is all they have for the retirement, rightly so. That is, they paid it, they earned it. It is not, no one's giving them anything. It is something that you've earned throughout your duration of working. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be detrimental to lose 20% of your income. You also talked about the statistics. It's close to 4.8 million in Texas that are receiving, folks that are receiving Social Security, and that's over $108 billion worth of economic value. Here in Bexar County, we have about 335 Social Security recipients or Social Security people that are on the program. And of that, $6.7 billion annually of economic value. It should be everyone's concern of what is going on with Social Security. Mm-hmm. But again, the fact is, it can continue to pay payments. It just cannot continue to pay payments at the level of promised benefits, which is that 100%.
So the trust fund is not running out of money. It is hampered in another way. Yeah. Answer that one. And also, is there why is there a shortfall in some way that's going potentially to hurt recipients?
Well, just to be clear, we collect payroll taxes for Social Security, and then there is this trust fund. And the trust fund was established because at one point we were not paying a lot of benefits out. We were collecting more than what we were paying out. Mm-hmm. So then you have like sort of this savings, right? And we were paying into this rainy day fund, and throughout the years, it was accumulating. However, demographics have changed. We have more retirees. So because we have more retirees, it is forecasted that the trust fund will be depleted if we do absolutely nothing to collect more funds. So that's separate over here. We're still collecting payroll taxes. So again, people from now into another 100 years, we can pay, Social Security can pay benefits, but not at its promised benefit value, which is whatever the Social Security, your Social Security statement
Okay,
says.
so let me just add to this
go ahead.
question. Why are we here? Why aren't we hearing more about this potentially drastic situation?
Well, I know ARP for over 60 years, we've been advocating for Social Security. And you mentioned that I've been with the organization for some time. The 16 years that I've been here, we've been advocating every year. We've been trying to we've been trying to bring attention, right? But because 16 years ago, it was like, let's just kick the can. It's nothing we have to worry about now. It's 20 years from now. But now we're here, 6 years. If we do absolutely nothing, that, Social Security could not pay its full promised benefit. I think people just need to realize that if we want to continue the program to be the successful program that it has been for over 90 years, we need to put pressure on Congress to come up with a solution. And here's the thing. Everyone has the power to do that if you're 18 plus because you vote. What people need to know is part of our voter engagement campaign. Again, when I say campaign, it's a nonpartisan campaign. It's really issue-based. Social Security being one of the main issues. Ask your candidates those questions, those people that you plan to put in office. Ask them what they're going to do about social. I can tell you what ARP does not want to see and what we won't stand for, and that is no cut to benefits, no cuts to COLAs, no privatization, and no increase in the full retirement age.
No privatization. That is a big fear.
So
Go
that
ahead.
plays into our next question, which is, as we mentioned, 2032, the next 6 years, right? What will Social Security recipients see in their monthly benefits if we do absolutely nothing?
If we do absolutely nothing, Michael, it could be up to 20%, maybe a little more of a cut to someone's Social Security.
And that's a lot. That's a huge cut for someone that only receives $1,000 or $1,200 a month. And we know in San Antonio, my mother included, rest her soul, she was receiving about that much.
That's correct.
Yeah, my mom too. Yeah, when
It can be drastic. And I think, again, we need to ensure that the people that we're electing understand that their decisions matter. And absolutely for individual circumstance, but what it would do to local economies and the economy at large. Again, it's a lot of money coming in here in Texas, over $100 billion on a yearly basis. And if you cut that by 20%,
all of us will suffer. The
right.
economy will suffer.
Right.
Okay, so we'll do more on the Do Nothing Congress in a little bit because we want to hear more about that. But address the exasperation that we're hearing, especially I'm hearing it from young workers about paying into a system that may not be around in the same way for them. And then there's those that are halfway through their careers and they've already paid a lot into the system. And they seem to be especially angry at baby boomers because there's more of us and we're getting into the system or we have been in the system. What can AARP tell them? What can boomers tell them?
yeah. This isn't a generational infight. It should not be. We cannot let it become that. First and foremost, we advocate for Social Security for, yes, our members and the greater 50 plus population, but for their children and their grandchildren and their great grandchildren, right? Over 100 years, it's close to 100 years it's been in existence. So if you're 16 years old and you started paying your taxes because they have been garnered, taking that money
take
out,
that,
we're advocating for you. We want you too to see Social Security. And again, this is an opportunity to kind of myth bust, if you will. The program, if left alone, and as you're thinking about, the 16-year-olds today can pay 80% of promised benefits from here till.
So at least we can bank on that, right?
Yes. we're saying that's not good enough. I think everyone is saying, a lot of folks are saying that's not good enough. I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of folks are saying that's not good enough, right? So it isn't a generational fight. I have two kids, one 32 and one 28. I think they're in different, I think one's a Gen X and one.
You don't look
I
at
don't
it.
know.
You do
Not at
not
all.
look at all.
And they've posed the same questions to me.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like, well, is this going to be around? And they've had to look at the facts. And I've had to, it's my responsibility, all of our responsibility for people to understand what Social Security is. It is earned. It is something that we pay into. It was
It's
a
not a
promise
handout.
made
Right.
to Americans.
That's
right.
And again, one of the most popular programs and one of the most successful programs. And we apprehend to say program because it's not a handout, right? It's
That's
an
right.
earned.
For 91 years, as you said.
Yes.
So now to Congress. As you mentioned earlier, Elaine, what is Congress doing, or what does AARP want Congress to do to avert a collapse of the trust fund and maintain benefits at least at its current levels?
Yes. Good question.
Yeah.
And again, something that we've been pressing on, even as of now, we are asking for a bipartisan solution for Congress to do their job, to take Social Security and the issue and the state of Social Security, to take it seriously, and to start coming to the table to figure out how we were going to protect Social Security and make it solvent for another 100 years. And again, solvency for it to pay 100% of benefits. It's not going bankrupt. It can pay 80%. We at AARP are saying that's not good enough. So that is what we're proposing to Congress. And what we're doing on the back end is educating our members and beyond. And we're pushing every chance we get to ask candidates. Currently, I'm doing that around the state, asking both federal candidates and others, what are you going to do about Social Security, and particularly the federal candidates? We have an opportunity here in Texas collectively, because we are going to be putting in a new senator. That senator will be making the decision on the future of Social Security. And I just want folks to be knowledgeable. We are a bipartisan organization. However, people need to look at the issues and ask those questions of the candidates.
So here's our last question that we're getting to, and then you can illuminate in whatever way you want. But what should recipients be telling their potential congressperson, their new senator especially? And is this a partisan fight? Is there a difference between what Republicans are saying about this trust fund or Democrats? Are we all on the same? Are we all on the same page, or are we not?
Yeah. Well, I think part of the reason there hasn't been a solution is because folks haven't been on the same page. However, I do think it's in the power of the people. The folks that have the most powerful voting bloc is those 50 plus. We know that for all levels of government here at the city government, that's 70% of people who turn out are 50 plus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We vote.
That's right.
We vote.
That's right. And we need to ensure that folks are getting to these candidates, going into that voting booth and pulling the lever for those that they believe are going to solve the issue. So again, obviously they're not on the same page, but I believe they will get to the same page if folks put the question to them and hold them accountable.
So I know you're not a partisan, you're a nonpartisan organization, but could you address what the difference is in philosophy about Social Security?
I mean, so what we've heard from one party is that they want to ensure that there's no fraud, that if we just, resolve the fraudulent issues, for example, the 120-year-old receiving Social Security, which the Social Security administrator that's appointed now has said that's not happening, right?
Yeah,
So there's some of that. Now, could there possibly be some other issues? Perhaps, and we should, yes, we all want a clean program. On the other end, it's more of, let's figure out where we can bringing more income into the program, whether that's through businesses paying or that's an increase in taxes. There are different solutions out there. They need to come together. It doesn't have to be just one solution.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is in my reading, and tell me if I'm wrong, the top level of people who their incomes reach 180,000, and they pay Social Security taxes on that to participate. Now, if you make a lot more than that, you still pay at that level, correct?
Yes, you're referring to the cap. The cap on what amount, for example, 184,500. If you exceed that, so let's just say you make 190, that's 6,000. You're not paying Social Security taxes.
Now,
Yeah.
I know that that's a lot of money. It's certainly a lot of money for me. But, or for the larger population, I bet there's a lot of people in San Antonio that make way over that. And they live in very nice homes, and they could potentially put in more money into the system. And then when you think of billionaires who make way more money than that, their annual incomes are far exceed that by millions. Why is that cap still there? And that is a viable change, right?
Yeah. The cap exists. Obviously, it has been negotiated through many administrations, and it historically has been lifted from time to time. That is certainly a tool. Again, going back to what ARP we won't support. No, we don't want any cuts to benefits, any cuts to the COLA, any cuts to the increase of retirement age, and we will not support privatization. So those are the things we will not support. The cap is certainly a tool at Congress's discretion
Disposal,
to
that's
use.
right. Mm-hmm.
Again, it doesn't have to be one or that one thing. You can mix it up. You can lift the cap. You can do all sorts of stuff. We elect these individuals to do their jobs, and I think we as the people, we need to again utilize our power. Go to the voting booth. Your vote does matter. Talk to the candidates before you do that. Ask those hard questions. And then if you do get like, yes, I know we're going to be in voting season, and you hear a lot, but put their feet to the fire. Hold them accountable. If you want to volunteer for ARP to be a Social Security volunteer, we welcome you, because it really is through those visits that the elects realize that this is serious, because now I have people who can vote for me in my district telling me this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we certainly need an urgency about this issue, because it's hitting the fan. They've postponed making changes because it might be unpopular. It might not sit well with some voters, although this is such a universal program. Even if I'm not, if you're a young person and you're not yet, it's a long way before you're a recipient. Your grandmother is, your grandfather is, maybe your mother is. So
absolutely. Yeah. One of our surveys states that over 70% of just voters, so this is not just older voters, believe Social Security is important. And then those 50 plus, 84% say this is a program worth fighting for, regardless of their political background, right? Or leanings, I should say.
Well, I know that Elaine and I have attended many AARP events and functions.
We're loyal.
Yeah, and you have some strong chapters here. And I would think that this issue is a very hot button issue among the membership. And they work very hard on this.
And November is not that far away.
No, it isn't.
And we'll be talking about voting a lot in the next coming months, and about not just getting people registered. I think we've done a good job getting people registered.
Yeah.
It's about getting them out to vote.
And
That's
again,
correct.
in closing, I think this is one of the most powerful messages, right? That get the vote out
That's right.
on this issue and get people
everything
talking
else.
about it.
Absolutely. Again, the voting block is powerful. We want to see everybody vote first and foremost. So it's not just what's important to 50 plusers. We have to remember that when we say 50 plusers, it's them, their families, and their grandchildren, right? And others. But what's really, really important is just to ensure that people are talking about Social Security, that they're asking those questions, because the more the politicians hear that, or the candidates, they are going to be pretty much forced to talk about what solutions they can come to. Mm-hmm. And again, I think I cannot reiterate this enough, is that the next senator of Texas will be making that decision.
Yes.
And we are AARP are actually going to be conducting a poll of our 50 plus Texans to see how they lean in that particular
Statewide?
Statewide.
Wow, that's
and
a
we
lot
can
of
bring
work.
you we can bring you those results if you invite us
Oh,
back.
yes, absolutely.
Because again, I think it is important for folks to understand, and particularly candidates, how important Social Security is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us. We'll check back with you when Washington does act.
Thank you for listening to find our podcast on buenavistaproject.com, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then,
Hasta
La Buena Vista.